You're listening to the Kaizen Podcast, episode number 1. Today we are talking about the IT industry in Uruguay, so let's get started.
Hey everybody, Fabian from Kaizen Softworks here. Welcome to the Kaizen Podcast. Thanks for coming. The Kaizen Podcast is produced every 2 weeks for your enjoyment. Show notes and links are found at podcast.kcsoftworks.com. Come back often and feel free to add the podcast to your favorite RSS feed, iTunes, Stitch, and Spotify. You can also follow me on Twitter at KCFabi. Now, let's get into the show.
I'm here today with Leonardo Loureiro. He's the president of the Chamber of Uruguayan IT Companies, and he's also the International Business Developer Manager of QANAM. Welcome to the show, Leo.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Fabian.
Yeah, anytime. So, can you tell us a little more about you, what you do at QANAM?
Yes. I'm a computer engineer. I have a MBA degree, and I'm married with one son and 2 daughters. And QANAM is a IT professional service company that provides services around the world, and we have offices in several countries. 3 offices in Brazil, São Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, and Porto Alegre, Santiago de Chile, Mexico, Miami, and New York, and obviously Uruguay is the headquarters.
Several places. So how long have you been working for them?
Really, I worked since 2012, 6 years, and it's a very nice company that work.
Do you get to travel often to the other offices they have?
Really, I work in the countries that we don't have offices. The office, obviously, the United States I opened the office in United States.
Nice.
And usually I work in United States a lot. And I work in Central America and Caribbean. And in Brazil several years.
Cool. So, all right, let's get into the topic of today. I would like to start by playing with a parallelism. I found, digging in your LinkedIn profile, that you were in the parcel football team of your university while you were studying computer science degree. And soccer, how it is called in the United States, it's a big passion for Uruguayans, right? Not long ago, just a couple weeks ago, we were in the World Cup. Everybody was really happy here in Uruguay. We get to the quarterfinals. It was really sad. It was a little painful also for several people around here. I remember also watching the kid crying on the TV. That was really painful. But how will you compare this passion Uruguayan have, the strategy, the planning, and the cultural level our national team has with the professionals that one could find in the Uruguayan IT industry?
Okay, really we have a problem because my passion is basketball. Really. I play in the Uruguayan league in the 80s and finally the 80s really. But in the university it's very easy to put together to play soccer. It's more easy than the basketball.
Right.
And play in the parcel and play several championships, university championships in 5 years. I play several championships. We won really. We won because we played in a team in 11 people. Really, it's a good question. The parallelism, because if you play in games that in the play with teams, for example, basketball 5 people or soccer 11 people, you need to work together. And because if you play this type of games, you learn more about the teamwork. And it's very important, for example, for the IT industry, the teamwork. And the parallelism is very important because you need in the team different skills and in the games, and you need different skills in the computer teams. For example, obviously the architects, the project manager, the developers, or for example the functionality areas, for example the accountants and the other types of engineers. I like to the parallelism because you need to work together for to achieve the computer projects.
And do you think the skill level is competitive at a world class?
Yes, Uruguay has a long tradition in computer education because imagine that we established in Uruguay the computer degree in 50 years ago. We have a lot of computer engineers with a high level education, and these professionals, in addition, these professionals trained in American and European universities, and this learn in a lot in other cultures, and bring to Uruguay or to different projects this knowledge.
Nice, yeah. So let's tell me a little more about the quality of the facilities, the connectivity level that one could find here in Uruguay.
Uruguay has an excellent telecommunication infrastructure. We have a fiber optic cable to connect United States to Uruguay.
Yeah.
We have LTE infrastructure around the world, around the country. But we have, for example, the last mile in fiber optics is to the homes. And for example, in my house, I have an excellent connection that establish, for example, a call or a webinar that provide in different points of Uruguay. For example, Quanam has offices in Bella Unión. It's a very little town in Uruguay, to 600 kilometers from Montevideo, the capital. And in this city, we have an excellent communication to establish
Incredible.
a call with companies around the world.
Like they were in a big city anywhere else.
Yes. It's the same. For example, when I establish a call with a customer from other country, I move in my cell phones, and it's better than United States in different points.
And now that you compare, I don't remember the report, but it was telling about the speed of connectivity you get here.
Yes.
It's at the level of the United
Yes,
States, right?
Yes, it's better than United States, but it's the first in the ranking in the Latin American countries.
Cool. That's a really big differentiator, right? So now that all said, being a small country has not produced a negative impact in the growth of the IT industry in Uruguay. And for those who don't know, Uruguay has a population of only 3 million, a few millions people. And during the last years, dozens of international companies set operations here. Just to name a few, I remember Microsoft, Tata Consultancy Services, Sabre, NetSwing, and among others. Why do you think these companies are attracted to operate in Uruguay?
Obviously, the first reason is the talent. No, the talent is we have an excellent engineers and others type of knowledge, but we have a relevant benefit for global IT firms. For example, Uruguay has 100% exemption of income tax for the payment obtained through the export of software and services. The companies can hiring university graduates, really Uruguayan university graduates, with as a non-dependent employment. Uruguay allow the money movement without taxes. The companies in Uruguay has the same process than the foreign companies that local companies. Is for the government is the same that a foreign company that a local company, and this is I think that is the reason that this type of firms established here in Uruguay. Also, Uruguay is recognized as a democracy, as our law. We respect the law.
Cool. And that's very important here, especially in South America, right? So
Yes, we are very different as
yeah,
a neighborhood.
yeah, exactly. So, and now that you mentioned that Uruguay has a good talent pool, um, let's move into education. And Uruguay is recognized probably worldwide for the one laptop per child program, better called Plan Ceibal here, right? What is the impact the country is pursuing with this project, and for how long has it been running?
Yes, the Plan Ceibal, the last year, the anniversary of the Plan Ceibal, the last year was 10 years, and maybe the the impact of this education we see in the next years, but we have a really Plan Ceibal has other type of project. For example, there are in Uruguay more than 200 labs that the high school students uh, train or try 3D printers,
Nice.
robotics, and IoT systems.
Cool.
For example, from these students, the country, really the teams, won a lot of competitions in United States, the NASA competition, the robotic, the worldwide robotic competition, and we have an excellent experience in these areas. I think that in the near future we we see the impact of this education.
Cool. And now that you mentioned it, robotics, I remember a case that I met because of a friend of a public school in Canelones, which is another city here in Uruguay, that they were playing with the laptop of the Plan Ceibal and the Lego Mindstorms, and they were this kid had a workshop that they had to build and play with this Lego Mindstorm, programming the interfaces and making the robots do stuff, and that was
Yes,
really
it's
really
very nice.
good.
My young daughter work with this type of robotics. I bought this robotic in the United States, and she programming the different movement of the robots.
Cool. How old is she?
15.
15. Nice. So, what other education efforts are being done here?
Yeah, for example, CUTI, our chamber, work with Plan Ceibal in a program called in Spanish Jóvenes a Programar, is programming youngs. That we work. The teachers provide by the industry. So the teachers is a professionals that work in our companies and teach different courses. For example, programming web, programming.net, testing, databases, a product using a lot in Uruguay called Nexus, and learn a lot in English. And this project, for example, work in different cities in the country, and is very an excellent experience with this project. And now we are working in a project called BIT that provide different courses in online modality. The content provided by a worldwide providers like Udemy, edX, and local universities. And in this case, we have more than 2,000 people study this type of courses.
We mentioned the Chamber of Uruguayan IT companies several times during our talk, but we didn't get to what it is, what do you do there, right? So, can you tell me more about the chamber?
Yes, CUTI is the acronym of Uruguayan IT Chamber. We have a lot of members in the IT companies, more than 350 companies that provide services in different areas. It's a vertical market. For example, We have a company that provides core banking systems, internet banking systems, in health area, in agrotech, and in different vertical markets. We have a lot of companies that provide services in horizontal market, in products or services. For example, your company, Kaizen, or for example, my company, Quantum, or other companies like in the artificial intelligence area, blockchain, big data. We have a lot of companies that work in outsourcing services, and this is of the type of companies that members in the CUTI.
And what's your role there? You are the president, but what are you trying to do there?
Yeah, I try to we work in a huge ecosystem here in Uruguay. We are the catalyst of this IT ecosystem. In the ecosystem work together the universities, the academia, for example, the public academy, or 4 or 5 private universities. We work with different agencies, national agencies, government agencies. For example, the Research and Development Agency of Uruguay, the agency that promotes the digital governance. For example, Uruguay incorporated in D7. D7 is the digital 7 countries that the high level use the technology in this process. For example, Uruguay has a long tradition in they incorporate the technology in the public companies and the ministries and so on. We work in this ecosystem with international agencies, central with technology parks, free trade zones, and we are work together to increase our sector. For example, to increase the exports, and we work in different projects to work in United States. We have trade missions to United States, to China, to Mexico, to Germany. We work in different ways to increase our sales.
That's a lot of work. So you mentioned that the chamber represents more than 300 companies, but I guess that's not the total number of companies in the IT sector in Uruguay. Do you have the number?
Really, no, really, our members represent the 90% of the
90%?
companies. Yeah, yes, we have. We are very representative of the IT sector.
Cool. That's very good.
Yes, and obviously the most important companies are members of the CUTI.
Cool. And tell me more about these companies. You were telling me about they were working on machine learning, artificial intelligence, different verticals. Any more additional examples of that are worth mentioning?
For example, we have a success stories in different companies. For example, there are a company called Ironhide Game Studios that is obviously working in the area of games. And for example, this company was in the top 10 Apple Store, and there are a lot of download of their game. The game called Kingdom Rush is a success company in this area. There are companies that was accelerated in United States for example in 500 startups. This company called Monkey Learn work in natural language processing, and there are a lot of customers in United States. The company and the products and the services launch in United States to the world, really, because they work for the world. And this is type of company work here in Uruguay. No?
You mentioned that the chamber do several trips along the year, these trade missions, and you mentioned the United States, China, and different other countries. Could you tell me a little more on what are the top export countries the Uruguay IT companies have?
Yes, our exports in 2016, that is the last numbers, representing $400 million, and United States is the most important client for us because United States represents 58% of our exports, and the next is Argentina with only 6%.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
Yes, we have a long tradition with United States, and the percentage increase every year. But for example, we have countries, very sophisticated countries such as Japan, Switzerland, Ireland. We have these countries that are in the top 10 destination of our exports.
Just a correction that I want to just make sure. You mentioned it $400 million were exported. Is that only the United States? Because I think I had that.
No, $400 million, the total exports of the Uruguayan IT
Total export.
companies. Yes.
All right.
And United States represents only the 55% of this 400 million.
Right, and so you said that there's a big difference, 55% the United States and just 6% Argentina. So why do you think the United States is the biggest market for Uruguayan companies?
Well, really, the United States is the most important market in
everybody
in the IT technology. No, it's the United States consume the really the 50% of the IT market around the world, in the world. And then obviously Uruguay has a.
It's not an exception.
Yes, it's not an exception, and has a possibility to sell more in United States.
And we are pretty aligned on the time zone, right?
Yes, we are in the similar time zone that United States. It's a perfect location to near shore. And for example, we have a lot of projects in Brazil, but in Brazil, the crisis in Brazil, the companies change the focus and see to United States.
And so, looking at reports, I think it said something like 10% growth year over year the last years of the exports.
Yeah, in the exports, but in the local market, we were the same.
Pretty much the same.
Yes.
So, the chamber, I heard that is not so happy about these results and wants to make a bigger jump on these exports. What's the goal? What are you trying to achieve with that?
Yes, really, we try to work to increase our export to United States and to other countries. We need to move forward in this direction, because we have a lot of companies that works in products, in software products, and these companies need more experience to internalization and use the partnership with other companies in United States, and we need to work with these companies to really to teach how sell technology in United States.
Right.
Really is a more important focus, because the country, the United States, is a very particular market, and we need to sell more, obviously, to other countries. Chile, Colombia, Mexico, Europe and we work in a new strategy to increase these exports.
Okay. Any part of that strategy that you can share right now, or
no,
because I know you just started this
really we are working in this new strategy. I suppose that finally in November we have this strategy.
A more consolidated plan.
Yes.
All right. So let's move into the the final part of this kind of interview that I wanted to do to you to start this show of this podcast. I want to talk about the startup ecosystem here in Uruguay. What can you tell me? Because I just want to give the idea to the audience about how it is here in every aspect, right? And what can you tell me? Do we have co-works? Do we have incubators? How are them?
Yes, in Uruguay there are now there are a lot of co-works uh, distributed in the country because there are co-works in Punta del Este. It's a very nice city to
And touristic
yes, a
places.
touristic point. There are co-works in cities from 500 kilometers from Montevideo, o sea, Salto, Paysandú, Colonia is in front of Buenos Aires in Argentina, and there are a lot of here in the capital in Montevideo. But we have more than 10 incubators also distributed in the country. We have not as accelerator, but similar than accelerator. Work together the national agency, the Research and Innovation Agency, work with a specific venture capitals. Really, no venture capital. It's a funds, companies that invest in different companies, and this type of team work, for example, to invest in blockchain projects, invest in Agrotech project, invest in artificial intelligence projects, and this type work like as accelerator. It's not accelerator, but it's similar than accelerator. The concept of accelerator in United States. But we have a incubators with more than 15 years here in Uruguay.
Wow.
Ingenio, founded in 2002.
And that's one made by the government, right?
Really, it's
It's
a
installed in a government
yes, it's
campus, but no.
really Latu is the owner of Ingenio, but Latu is a public company. Is the Straits company, but it's not the government.
All right. Get it.
It's a very a particular state here in Uruguay.
So
But we have a lot of startups here in Uruguay. The universities have a pre-incubators. The Ort University has a long tradition with pre-incubator. There are many startups that founded in this pre-incubator. For example, Pedido Ya is a company that founded or the idea born in the Ort pre-incubator, and the ANI, the National Agency of Research and Innovation, found only $25,000. It's a few money, and that and this company work around Latin America, but then the last year, Delivery Hero, a German company, acquired Pedido Ya, and for example, this company in the last year launched the IPO in Frankfurt for 1,000 million euros.
wow.
It's a huge company that always work on now in Latin America, in also obviously in Europe.
Just to add a little information, Pedidos Ya is a online food delivery services, right?
Yes, this. Thank you very much for
Just adding that detail. Any other success cases? You already talked about Iron High, now Pedidos Ya. Any other example?
Monkey Learn. There are other examples called GLAM. Is a company that provides services in in the luxury. No, it's a woman style. No? The woman's it can try the products in a digital mode, and after that buy the physical products. This is a company accelerated in plug and play accelerator in Silicon Valley.
Nice.
This is a different. There are obviously the Genexus is the most relevant company here in Uruguay. Genexus has offices in Mexico, Brazil, Argentina, United States, Japan, Dubai, China. They work around the world. They have more than 10,000 customers, more than 100,000 users. It's a huge company that provides services and products around the world.
And now I want to understand a little more about where these startups are innovating the most. And also, is Agrotech, because for those who don't know, agro is a big industry here in Uruguay, right? So I guess what's the work companies are doing in that area, taking advantage of that big industry here?
Yes, because the agro is a more important industry here in Uruguay. Obviously, if you provide services for this type of company, it's very easy to move, for example, to Argentina, Paraguay, and Brazil, or South Brazil, that work in this area and provide the similar services. For example, Uruguay has an excellent project here in Uruguay that we have the traceability of bovine cattle. All our cows has a chip.
A track.
Yeah, and the Ministry of bovine cattle has the traceability of these animals, and for example incorporates horses, pigs, and other animals of here in Uruguay.
Cool. So I think we are pretty much covered. Do you want to add something to the startup or any of the topics we already covered?
No, it's
fine. It's a really nice overview to have a sensation of the IT industry here in Uruguay.
Yes.
All right. So I think that was really good. Thank you for coming, Leo. Thank you for coming to talk about the Uruguay IT industry. I really enjoyed this. Thank you so much for your time today and being in the first episode.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me.
Thanks everyone for listening to the Kaizen podcast. This podcast has been brought to you by Kaizen Softworks. Check us out at kcsoftworks.com.